Hey guys, Brian here, and I've seen in the comments and over on Reddit several times that have been popping up. How do you make money? How do you make coin? How do you get that sweet bag in New World? And so I thought I'd take time today and actually break it down. What's my process? How I go about managing my coin, and hopefully give you guys the information that you need to know so that you can become a gillionaire, a billionaire, or Jeff Bezos, if you will. Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here. But if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, you beautiful, magnificent, and dare I say, sexy beast, you. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. Now, specifically speaking, I want to break this video down into a few parts. We're going to talk about routes. We're going to talk about investing in yourself. And if you came to this video looking for, just want to farm one thing. Brian, what is the one thing I should farm to get rich? And if I told you that one thing, I would be a liar, because on your server it could be different, or any of the number of people who actually watch this video and, hey, like this video, will actually go and do the same thing, thus driving it down. Within MMORPGs, making money is an act of understanding the economy, setting yourself up to be successful, but also at the same time knowing what's a good value and not. And that's what this video actually hopes to teach you, to give you guys the actual ability to make money, so that regardless of whenever somebody says something's hot, you might actually already have the materials ready to go and profit immensely off of whatever is the hot commodity of the day, especially by the server. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. And first and foremost, I want to talk about routes. I want to talk about investing in one's self. Now, one of the things that I'm sure I'll get a comment on is somebody will say, Brian, you only have 26,000 coin. That's right. Like, I'll save up to 50,000, 100,000 coin, and then I'll go on shopping sprees because I like actually using my money, and I like making my money try to work for me. So my coin is always in flux. So depending on the time of recording, you might see wildly varying numbers. And that's obviously the point. Now, what I would recommend, especially as you level up, is investing in yourself in two phases. The first and easiest way to make money in this game is obviously being a supplier of materials, and that's where we'll talk about routes in more detail in just a second. But the note here is actually investing in oneself. I have gotten some really great harvesting and mining and like woodworking, like all of these tools. I don't think I actually have upgraded my skinning yet, and that's okay. I've made sure that I've gotten some really good tools, so that increases my gathering speed. That thus reduces my time. In fact, the perk that I absolutely adore is the gathering accuracy here. Basically, when I finish gathering, I get insanely fast, and so I can just bounce from node to node to node. Now, obviously, the perks are going to vary for what you're specifically looking, but investing in yourself is going to have a huge payoff. But yes, obviously investing in yourself requires that you make money. So let's talk about routes, but let's talk about becoming a supply side, a supply way, I don't know, a genius investor here. What is the market going to be demanding? And the market's going to demand several things in different quantities, but I want to point you to a town board here for a second. Whenever you go to your town board, you can see here, fisher folk needed, large salmon. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you to go out and become a master fisher, but what I'm saying is that pay attention to these things. In fact, actually pick these kind of things up. Whenever a quest, like your potions here, are asking for a material, grab this, but don't turn it in. Now, if you want to know why you don't want to turn it in, is that you'll actually see markers on the items that you gather, like this item right here, mission item, travel ration. Same thing with fishing. My medium salmon, my large salmon. You'll actually have the game mark items that are town board turn-inable, but you don't want to do that, because what this will actually serve as is kind of a checklist for items that drop that you might not know have a value. So I would recommend looking at the different town boards in the towns and just having the game tell you what has a natural demand, because chances are people are going to want to buy that item off the market so they can turn it in for quick XP and quick coin. Generally speaking, you'll see people throw more coin in it because they find the XP valuable, but that will ebb and flow. Note, we'll talk about kind of the cycles of profit and the bull and the bear markets here in New World in just a second. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and I'm just going to pick on my sell tab. I have obviously a lot of different items here. You can see aged wood, again, a mission item. Note that that's going to constitute a high demand. Now, there's a couple of ways you can go about this. You can choose to place a sell order on the materials that you collect. And within that sell order, it's going to have a listing price, and it will default to the lowest price that is currently on the market. So if you want to undercut it, I wouldn't recommend undercutting it by much. You could drive down the value of the market pretty quickly, and you could actually give the opportunity for people who already have money to just profit off of your unawareness, if you will. Now, I would recommend, especially for items that you feel that have a high demand, we'll also talk about what other indicators you want to see, is listing it for 1 day, maybe 3 days, because that's actually going to save you money on your listing fee. And then obviously you want to list as many as possible. I mean, this will vary from person to person, but I always like to list big stacks because people usually try to buy these things in big stacks to make that money. And so here I am now listing it at 24 for 1 day, and I have a stack of 56, or I hit cancel. And one of the things that's also going to determine if there is something valuable for you is the buy orders. Buy orders also indicate a high demand item, an item that will either be flipped or just used for themselves. Now, I could list it for the 24 cents and sell it and put up a fee and risk that somebody undercuts me or it doesn't sell. Or I could actually just take the payout of the 21 and I can choose to go ahead and sell all of them. I'm going to go and do that right now. Now, generally speaking, I like selling aged wood much higher. So I usually let it kind of funnel in and I wait till the price kind of fluctuates until there's a time that I really want to go ahead and profit off of it. But in this case, I can sell these for 11 coin and I can go and take my win. And there we go. And that's one aspect of it. So what I would recommend, again, the town boards, but then you can kind of jump around here and start to find things that actually have value. See here, Ancient Bear Paw. Right now, this has got a willing buy order of 101 and they're willing to buy up to 49. Let's see what they sell for. They sell for around 200. So you could, and this is where we're going to get into market flips later in the video. If you had the capital, I wouldn't risk 100 on that, even though you are doubling your profit ish. You can see here people were originally willing to buy it for 5 and trying to flip it for 200. See how market flips can end up working in your favor or working against you? Well, essentially, I'm going to go and take this guy at his word, and I'm going to take the money. I'm going to say, like, yeah, I'm not really worried about trying to list it for that. But again, you'll see when you see these sell item orders, this is a good indication of demand. And this goes beyond just any one particular gathering node. This is going to vary server to server. And this is going to be one way that you can kind of help figure out ways to make money. So just note, I'm not telling you specifically what to go out and purchase, but take a look at your market board, see what items you already have, and see if there's a high demand for those items, and then plan accordingly. But we're not going to leave you alone, because at the end of the day, I want to bring you to newworldmaps.com. I'm going to put a link in the description. This is where we get into the concept of routes. And routes are really important. Now, you can see here on the site, I actually have the different zone outlines, the teleport locations, and the cities turned on. But let's say I wanted to go and find some ore. Whatever ore is, I feel I need either for myself, for my my refining, or that I feel like has a high demand. So let's say I wanted to go and focus in on, let's see here. Is that ores? Yeah, that's ores. I'm looking for star metal vein, and all of a sudden they pop up here on the site. Now, from the video footage that I hopefully will not be too lazy to edit in, I actually have 2 different star metal routes that I have in Weaver's Fen. You can go to Weaver's Fen and you can kind of run down the way here and be able to gather up all this star metal. Again, these resources, there is a little bit of competition. So just note that that's where your tools can come in. And depending on the time of day, you might find a route that works for you that's not necessarily being used by others. And that's why this ends up coming into play. Now, the other route here in Weaver's Fen, and also just heads up, one of the things I want to do on this channel specifically is actually build out targeted guides per zone. So like all the different routes within Weaver's Fen, here's the materials you can collect, etc. So subscribe if you want more New World content and those kind of guides, in the future. But also you can teleport up here, or you can just run up here to the north and actually follow kind of this little U shape here. This is a good little mine. This can get a little bit challenging, and the best way you'll find out is where that comes, where that comes in terms of your time commitment. You can also, I would say the best routes end up being routes where you can gather multiple kinds of materials. So let's say you wanted to turn on mining. Let's say you also wanted to gather some, I don't know, if you're just getting started, some herbs and some hemp, then you can go and find all these wonderful little routes that generally are close to a teleport spot, so you can kind of get in and get out. And the ones that you want to ultimately find that have a lot of value are obviously where you can get similar materials. Now, clearly, some of this, like if I was going to do more harvesting, that's going to be in less rocky, kind of areas. So kind of just try to plan your things accordingly. If you can go and gather 2 or 3 different types of materials and then put those listed up on the market, that's going to be a huge benefit to you in the long run. So that is hopefully understanding routes, investing in yourself, and talking about kind of tracking and gathering. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about crafting, gathering, refining, these different systems. Now, personally speaking, I'm not a big crafter in like this MMO currently. I've obviously spent a little bit more time on cooking, but overall, I have really been enjoying more of the gathering and even the refining aspects. But for me, I enjoy playing it, and I'm hopeful for more systems. We've covered that here on the channel as well, so I don't need to go full detail into it. But crafting and gathering can be very profitable for you, but it could also cost you a lot of coin. So I would recommend becoming somebody who's self-sufficient to the point where you can actually level up crafting and gathering without really feeling kind of that stress of it. And so that comes down into being a supply side person. Now, at the end game, you could spend a lot of coin. But also the value is becoming an end game crafter will teach you everything you need to know about what is in demand, where the market might be moving, especially as updates roll out and more. So just continue to usually, I would say, invest in that, because that's also going to help level you up. It's also going to help, rank you up in the different town areas and more. But with that being said, let's jump over into the final 2 lessons this video hopes to kind of highlight, and it's market flips. I'm going to look here at the Air Wisp. I actually have a current listing right now for Air Wisps that are set to 200. And so I could actually place my own buy order. And you can see here I'm willing to buy right now for $1.63. The reason why I'm willing to pay $163 for up to 200 of those Air Wisps is if I go into the sell side of this, I can see that we've got these things currently listed at $7.89 to just purchase them straight off the board. So if I am able to get 200 by somebody just willing to accept the $1.63 from me, I can flip those and actually make a profit. I am taking on risk. I'm taking on risk that my money that is up, that I will be able to collect on that and be able to sell on these. But at the same time, I'm not actually in a rush to do so. Now, personally speaking, I do recommend maybe starting your market flip, kind of mindset, usually around 35,000 to 50,000 coin, because then you're going to have plenty to risk and you're not going to feel the pressure or the stress by that. But this is also coming off of the vein of investing in yourself. Like, I would recommend priority wise, spend the money on the tools so that your ability to harvest and get materials is easy. It's faster. You have a better enjoyable experience about it. Anyway, so while you end up playing the game, obviously you're going to find things to purchase. Housing is a big value that's going to help you get around the world. Again, an idea of investing in oneself. And the main cost of maintaining a house isn't that much, but you can end up getting various different storage and increasing your overall storage for the various different facilities. And this can end up helping kind of maintain and managing all the different materials that you're gathering much, much easier. Now, the final thing I actually want to focus in terms of understanding kind of the cycle and when the bear markets and the bull markets are going to set to rise, usually you can understand that around the seasons of the MMORPG. Obviously, as content lulls out, people dip out and things become a little bit different, a little bit maybe quieter. Those are usually great opportunities to buy things cheaply because there's not as much demand. And when people make returns, they usually like to just make their return as easy as possible and purchase whatever's necessary. So usually around the time of patches, those are really great opportunities to make money, to supply the market, to take all the things that you've actually been holding on to and release them. And now right now within New World, we're starting to see that cycle actually pan out in a 2-month period. And I do wonder if we'll end up seeing them stretch into kind of a 3-month cycle. And what that ends up meaning is that as we start to see kind of the bigger updates, especially updates that are around weapons themselves, you'll end up seeing kind of the biggest return that happens with the game. So right now would be, at the time of this filming, it's pre the first year. So we're about to go into the July update. We're also then about to have the, I'm going to assume, and I'm going to call the 1 year update where we're going to see Brimstone stands and more. So just note that within these timeframes, there's at least 2 windows of that hype, that excitement, that return, that it will be a really good time to supply. But also New World goes a step further, and they actually add in events. And so we've just seen the double XP event for refining, crafting and gathering, and all of that happening. And we're expecting that will come in ebb and flow into the game as well. So just be paying attention so that as these refining and as these events pop off, and if we get another refining event or a crafting event, that's a really easy and great way to make sure that that's a great time to sell. That's a great time where there's a lot of demand, and so items will move much, much faster as well. But you'll actually put yourself in a position if you follow this guide, you get yourself invested, you go find some good routes that are going to both skill you up, but also continue to feed you, and hopefully you take advantage of the boards themselves, so you know that there's going to always be hot commodity items that have a high demand, so that as you run into them in the open world, you have that personal tracker. Hopefully we'll actually see the ability to kind of track and do these different things in the game as well down the road, but that's feedback that I'll keep giving to the devs. Anyway, guys, my name's been Brian. This has been my New World channel. If you guys like the video, feel free, and it earns it, obviously. That like button is a huge help. Leaving a comment. If you don't know what to say, you can always leave an emoji or say thanks for the video or something like that. Those are great ways to help it within the algorithm itself. If you guys still have questions after this video, hit me up in the comments or over on Discord if you're looking for people to play New World with. We got a group. We usually try to do 2-3 nights. When I say 3, I forget that I have so many kids. At least 2 nights a week. I always like to try to be on and hang out and voice, whether I'm streaming or not. It's usually just good times to talk and build friendships. So anyway, guys, thanks for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll see you next time. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.